Now that you watched what my Qorvex can do, I'm going to get you through the build now. Starting with the mods, for survivability, you want catalyzing shields, fast deflection, rolling guard, and for energy regeneration and efficiency, you want streamline, fleeting expertise, rank 4, energy nexus, archon stretch. Now you might be asking, why archon stretch? There is no electricity in your abilities. Not a single ability does electricity. So the reason is, if you use the Riga companion, it has two modes, arc coil and electropulse. Both of these modes proc electricity status on the enemies, and that works with archon stretch. So for that reason, we have +2 energy regeneration and of course extra ability range thanks to the Riga. And of course you want to Umbral Intensify because you do want more power strength in your abilities, because the second ability causes damage vulnerability to the enemies. They take more damage from all sources. Notice for more energy regeneration again, and viral procs on enemies when you hit them. And the Crucible Blast, it's his fourth ability. You want this to pretty much spam this and get invulnerability while casting and kill everything in the room. Don't forget to use his third ability for status immunity. Keep an eye once in the blue moon, but try not to get status effects by forgetting to use this ability. And with that, you also want to use Prime Surefooted so that you don't get knocked down, because once you get knocked down, the enemies are going to keep shooting you, and you won't be able to use Rolling Guard due to the animation of getting back up. So there's a very high chance you might die if you don't have Prime Surefooted. Of course, if you don't have Prime Surefooted, you could go with Handspring and recover faster. Haven't seen how it is without, but it's a more budget version of Prime Surefooted, so feel free to use that instead if you don't have Prime Surefooted yet. As for the arcanes, you want Molt Augmented for more ability strength, so that you can have more energy regeneration, viral procs, etc, etc, damage vulnerability on enemies, and more damage. Arcane Steadfast, you want this to spam more abilities. Pretty much it helps you keep the energy regenerating more, and that results in never running out of energy. Let's move to the weapons now. I'm using Amprex because it has a very good crowd control with the electricity chains on the enemies. It's a very good status weapon. And I'm going to be using Blast and Corrosive statuses. Why those? Well, Corrosive for Armor Strip, because as you saw from my Warframe abilities, there is no Armor Strip in the build, so I need to Armor Strip in some way. But Corrosive itself doesn't Armor Strip. Well, before continuing with the Amprex, I forgot to mention my Archon Shards. Let's go with the Archon Shards. You want the two green ones, the two new ones, for the armor strip on anything. Two weak ones are enough for the armor stripping. If you go with one maxed, like the enhanced version, you still need an additional one, because corrosive projection does not stack with them. So having corrosive projection and one of the shards will not give you armor strip on the weapons, because armor strip, like armor reduction with corrosive projection, works before these ones are applied. So pretty much like, let's just say they won't work. I don't know the exact math on what's going on behind it, but corrosive projection just won't work. Keep that in mind. For the other slots, you want the 3 new orange shards, 2 for ability damage, to do even more damage with your Crucible Blast, and you want the new regenerate 5 shields when you inflict an enemy with blast status. So that's the reason I use Blast on my weapons. Before moving on, let me show you how powerful the Blast status effect is with the new Archon Shard. going back to the Amprex, you are going to see that I have very high status chance. It's 111.8%. So pretty much with every single shot, I can proc corrosive and blast. Because keep in mind, you also want multi-shot. Use as many multi-shot mods as you can. Of course, I'm using a Riven here. This gives me multi-shot and status chance. The main focus on Rivens is multi-shot and status chance. Do not go for reload, because fractalized reset is taking care of the reload. 240% reload is a lot. Trust me, you will not need a single mod for reloading. Sinister Reach for beam length, so you can affect more enemies while you're shooting. Of course, elemental mods, nothing much, and status. You know, these are the mods. You can build it yourself. If you have any alternatives on having like more status but less mods or something, I don't know, feel free to use whatever combination you can, but that's the best I've got. I guess galvanized chamber, since I can. Now, of course, keep in mind with galvanized mods, you're going to be killing with Qorvex, not the weapons. Of course, you might get 1 or 2 kills with the weapons accidentally, so that's the reason I'm using galvanized chamber. But looking at my multi-shot, if my multi-shot was lower than you see here, it would take my multi-shot down to 2.9 or 2.8. So when you are in that situation, you want to go over to the next digit. So if I had 2.9, for example, it would be better for me to go with split chamber. Because waiting for that one enemy to die from my Amprex to get that extra multi-shot is not worth the effort by just compared to than just using normal split chamber and having more multi-shot. So depending on your multi-shot Riven, you will have to decide whether you want to use galvanized chamber or split chamber. Moving on to the Grimoire. For the special mod, you want to be using Vom Invocation. This gives extra ability strength. So, like before, I'm not going to say it again. More energy and strength on your hit. But if you want to play with Netracell missions and you go solo, there is a very high chance that you will get the enemies drain 2 energy per second when they're within 10 meters, I think. So in that situation, if you want to, you can go with Zata Invocation. In the gameplay you're seeing, I'm using Vom Invocation, and at some points I do run out of energy because they're draining my energy. So feel free to choose whether you want to use Zata or Vom Invocation. For any other content in the game, I would just suggest Vom Invocation, because with Rolling Guard, you can just go with invulnerability for 3 seconds, get up far away from the enemy, regenerate some energy, and then you will go back in. Now, the same logic applies to the Grimoire. You want status, blast, corrosive, and on the Grimoire, you want fire rate. I'm not using all of the fire rate mods because I don't have slots for the 2 elements to be there. So I'm sacrificing 4 mod slots just for the elements, and then I have the multi-shot mods, which are very important, the invocation mode, and then anemic agility for as much fire rate as I can get, and lethal momentum for projectile speed. So about multi-shot, you might notice that you still shoot 1 orb in the animation, but in reality, when you shoot an enemy with without multi-shot, the alternative fire mode charges way slower. But if you use multi-shot modes, it recharges much faster, which means multi-shot actually works, you don't see multiple orbs, because you still shoot one orb, but like the extra shots are inside that one orb, so you still do the multi-shot damage. So that's it for... oh wait, never mind. Oh, I forgot about the arcanes. For the grimoire, you want to use conjunction voltage. Now again, why conjunction voltage? It's not with Diriga this time. It's actually with the alternative fire. The alternative fire of the grimoire does electricity damage. Even though you don't see it over here, it still does electricity damage. So that is the reason I'm using this arcane, and of course this gives more multi-shot, and with more multi-shot I shoot more and it recharges faster. So if you have a good, I mean, yeah, there are no Revens at the moment, but if we do get a Reven for the grimoire, this build is going to be even crazier, like for any grimoire out there. So let's all wait for grimoire Revens, because when they do come out, I'm gonna be waiting for fire rate, status, not so much status, maybe some elemental ones. But yeah, pretty much you want fire rate, status, and elements. But that's all you need for the grimoire. And melee, choose nothing, just to flex on people. I really don't use melee. On this one, I'm killing everything with my fourth ability. Just for the flex, but of course you can go with any melee weapon. You can use dispatch overdrive to get some extra movement speed, but just for the flex, I'm gonna use none. And that is it for the build. Now enjoy watching the rest of the gameplay. You're going to see the entire Netracell mission playing.
Are slowing us down. Find him, smash was hiding and get back to the sanctum.